Welcome, this is Carrie Schell from On Point Quilter. Last week I shared with you my process for creating paper snowflakes in EQ8. This week I will share with you how I transfer those designs to the Silhouette Cameo and then the settings and process I used within the Silhouette Studio to prepare my image for cutting and to cut it out. Okay, I have opened my Paper Snowflakes project. And I'm going to view my project sketchbook, and in my blocks tab I'm going to find one of the blocks that I did during the last session, and I am going to select Edit. And my goal is to create something that has high contrast because I'm going to want to trace this once I get to my Silhouette software. So I'm going to go to the Color tab and I'm going to color the white black, and I'm just using spray can, and I'm going to color the blue white. And then I am going to go to Print and Export. So I'm going to select Export Image, and I am going to post this, or I'm going to save it under my images. I have a Paper Snowflakes file. The key is just to be able to find it again. And I will label this Silhouette Snowflake 5 and select Save. Now it's going to ask me for the size, and I like to do a large size because I'm going to need to trace this. So I want a very good image. So I'm going to change the width and the height to 12. For resolution, I'm going to select 600, and that's for the same reason. I want a very precise image. I'm going to turn off my outline options, and I'm going to select OK. Now I'm going to go to Silhouette, and I am going to select File and Open. And under Open, I want to make sure that under the types of files, I'm selecting every graphic file, which means that I can pick up PNGs and JPEG images. And so I'm going to navigate to where I stored this, and I'm going to select my snowflake and select OK. Now this came in at larger than 12 by 12, but I will resize it, and so I'm going to select the image, and under Object I'm going to select Scale, and I'm going to start by selecting 50%, which gives me the half size. I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller, so I'm going to change it to 11.5. I've got lock size adjustment on. I'm going to select Apply. So now I have my snowflake, and I need to trace. So I'm going to select Object, select Trace. It's going to ask me to select the trace area, so I want to make sure that I completely enclose that snowflake. And then I need to fill that in so it's all yellow. So I'm going to turn off the high pass filter, and I'm going to bring my scale down to 4, and I'm going to bring my threshold up to try to get rid of some of the gray lines that are you can see where it meets the background. And I guess I needed to bring that up to 100%. Sometimes I don't need to go quite as high as that, but I did this time. And then I'm going to select Trace. So once I have done that, I can move my image out of the way. Now I can see that it pulled in this extra edge there. So to get rid of that, I'm going to do an Object, Release Compound Path, and that's going to create different sets for each of the pieces. So I should be able to select that line and just use the Delete key on my keyboard. Now I can go ahead and select everything again, and now under Object I can make another compound path, And the reason I did that, I'm going to select the edit points and I'm going to just select this. And you can see that there are a lot of nodes. And frankly, I think there are too many nodes. So one thing I like to do is once I select that, I'm going to do a simplify. And you can see that Silhouette has reduced my number of nodes significantly. Now if I want to bring it down even further, like there are some items here like this one, it looks like there's still too many. I can go ahead and now I need to look at it individually. So if I select this under Object, I can release my compound path again, and now I can select just that image, select the edit points, and do a simplify with that. And so if there are any others that I want to clean up, I can repeat the process. Once I've cleaned up my image, I can select everything again, do another object, make a compound path. Now I can do an object, scale, and I want to change this to the size that I want to cut it out at. And so from tip to tip, I'm going to want to work with an 8-inch piece of fusible, so I need to be less than 8 inches, and so I'm going to select 7.75 for the height. And I'm going to make sure my lock size adjustment's on and select Apply. I'm also going to rotate this, so I'm going to do an object, rotate by 90 degrees. And so I can now place this where I would like to see it on my mat. And that, of course, is going to depend on where I put my, my cutting material. So now there are 3 things that I need to use for my cutting mat. The first is the fabric. And this fabric here was cut 8 by 9 inches. It was also very heavily starched because I wanted this to feel, almost had the feel of paper. Then I cut a piece of freezer paper exactly the same size, and I'm going to iron this to the front side of my fabric. Then I went and I found my Soft Fuse Premium Fusible, and I took a sheet of that, and that sheet is 8 by 9 as well, and I'm going to iron that to the back side of my fabric. Okay, once I've done this, this is really stiff, almost crinkly. I'm going to remove the backing from the fusible, and I'm going to position this on the upper left corner of my cutting mat. And I am going to make sure this is firmly down. Now, if you have a burnish tool, you're going to want to use that to make sure that that is down, very secure. And to double check that, I'm going to just use some Scotch tape, and I'm going to tape all of the edges, just like about 1/4 inch in, because I don't want this to move at all during the process. Once I have that secure, I am ready to now send my design to Silhouette. So in the Silhouette software, I'm going to select Silhouette, Cut Settings, and I'm going to find the fabric setting. And I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to take a look at the settings. And it suggests a ratchet blade of 3, but I'm going to use 5 because I'm a little bit thicker because of the freezer paper and the fusible. And I did some experimenting, and that's what seemed to work the best for me. For the speed, I'm going to set that to 1. This is a fairly intricate design, and I am trying to prevent things from sort of coming apart, and that seems to work easiest at low speeds. For thicknesses, 33, and I did not check any of the other boxes. Once I've loaded the cutting mat, I'm going to select Send to Silhouette. Okay, I have removed this from the Silhouette, and I should be able to peel away now the freezer paper and the stuff in the center. Actually, it's great when everything just sort of pulls away, but if it doesn't pull away, that's when I need to just use my little scissors, and I think they call it weeding, and I need to weed. And I like to start by pulling away everything in the center and getting that taken care of. Once I have the center weeded, which hopefully you can see, I'm going to now carefully remove the actual snowflake. And I have more sharp points, and those seem to be a little bit more problematic. And so I am going to carefully use my scissors and snip those into the corners. And once I have that done, I can go ahead and remove my freezer paper if it already hasn't come off. And if I need to clean up any of the edges, like, that's a little weird right there, I will go ahead and use my scissor to do that. But I think I have a decent snowflake to applique. Here is my cut applique, all ready to be fused and sewn onto another piece of fabric. For additional tips and techniques, please subscribe to my weekly newsletter at www.onpointquilter.com. And while you're there, check out my other Electric Quilt 8 classes.